Hello and welcome to this learning session on the Moore Industries Safety Trip Alarm. What we're looking at here today is the configuration of a temperature input safety trip alarm, the model STA, and we're going to be discussing the analog output tab and its options and what our possibilities are. So let's jump over to there, take a look at it, how it's set up right now. Currently, our process variable range, we'll go back to the input, there it is, 0 to 100 degrees, that's our process variable input. Process variable range is 0 to 100 degrees C, and as we're set up currently for current in milliamps, the output will be 4 to 20 in proportion to the 0 to 100 degrees that the instrument's going to be reading. So that's how it's set up right now. Let's look at our options here. You can also select voltage, and you notice when you select voltage, it automatically clicks to 0 to 10 volts. That's your range. And we go to milliamps, 4 to 20. And you can always change this to suit your application. If you just wanted 4 to 12 milliamps, you can certainly do that. But we'll leave it at 20. Because that's the most common one. Damping allows you to slow down the reaction of the output. I'll explain that a little bit in a second. When you enable it, you can have from 1 to a maximum of 30 seconds of damping. And so what that damping does is, let's say you have an input that jumps up very quickly, and we don't want the 4 to 20 output to jump quite that quickly. What it'll do, let's say by example, if I have damping of 5 seconds, and we jump, say from 0 to 100 degrees, which is not likely, but let's just go with me here, 0 to 100 degrees quickly, that means your output's going to jump typically from 4 to 20 milliamps just exactly that quickly. If you put dampening in there, so let's say our 5-second dampening, that means the output will go from 60%, I think it's a little more than 66%, all the way from 4 to 20 milliamps. It'll travel 66% of that span in 5 seconds time. That's how the damping is calculated. Okay, but we'll turn it off for our application here. Now the fail mode, it's talking about the analog output. What do you want the analog output to do if we go into fail mode? Let's say we get a broken wire at the input of our sensor. So in this case, our choices are high, low, or hold last. And right now, the way I have it configured, it will fail low. High will be 10% higher than 20 milliamps. Low will be 10% lower than 4 milliamps. And hold last, obviously, is whatever temperature or analog output it was reading when you had the failure. Okay, so that's pretty much the setup for the analog output, and you have a couple other extra features here, or tools, let's call them. You have the analog output trimming and an output test. Now the trimming is for, let's say by example, you're putting out 20 milliamps, but your DCS is only reading 19.8. Well, you can use this feature to trim the output a little bit so that the DCS agrees with it. And the way you would do that, let's say if you put your output at full, if you click this button here, it'll send 20 milliamps, which is defined as our full, to your output. And then let's say somebody in your control room says, okay, I'm only reading 19.8. Well, you can input that 19.8 and then tell it to trim. Okay? And that will automatically adjust the analog output so that the 19.8 that they were receiving now, they will be receiving 20 milliamps because we boosted up our output a little bit. And you can do the same thing with the 0. Let's say you put 0 and they were reading 4.1 milliamps for whatever reason, and then you can say trim on that as well. And make sure when you're done doing this, you hit the unfix button, because whatever you put it at, like 0 or full, is going to stay there until you tell it to unfix it. Okay? And if you're totally confused, or if you change your DCS or change your wiring and things are now, wiring is better or the DCS recorder is better, you can always go back and reset to our factory defaults. Okay? And now the output test is slightly similar. The output test, You can put it as, well, here at 4 milliamps, so you can say fixed, and it'll put 4 milliamps out. Likewise, you can put anything in between. You're going to put 12.2 milliamps on there and say fixed. Of course, you could not do that here. You can only put 0 and full. But on the output test, you can put anything you want there. And it works for current or voltage, as you can see here. Okay, and again, make sure when you're done doing your testing, you hit the unfixed button so that it goes back to normal. Okay, there you have it, the analog output tab for the safety triple arm. Thank you.